Disclaimer: this story explores mature emotional themes and complex family dynamics. It does not contain any explicit or inappropriate material. Viewer discretion is advised. I swear I was just trying to help him, our dog, Milo. That's all it was. But my mom walked in, and the look on her face. I'll never forget it. It was this mix of shock, suspicion, and something else I couldn't place. And ever since that night, I haven't been able to sleep. Let me back up. My name's Lucas, 22, still living at home while juggling night classes and a part-time gig at the animal shelter. I've always had a soft spot for animals, maybe even more than for people. And Milo, our 5-year-old golden retriever, is more than just a pet. He's my best friend. My lifeline. The one steady presence in a house that's been teetering on edge for years. My mom, Evelyn, is complicated. She's fiercely protective, sharply intelligent, and completely unpredictable. Ever since my dad left, she's been under constant stress, keeping our house running like a machine on the brink of collapse. She works long hours as a nurse, barely has time to breathe, and I know she's doing her best. But she has this way of looking at me sometimes, like I'm still 10 years old, or worse, like I'm some burden she has to carry. That night started like any other. She was on the late shift again. I was in the living room with Milo, just finished studying. He'd been limping all day, nothing dramatic, just a slight hitch in his back leg. But something about it didn't sit right with me. He was whining when he walked, licking the same spot obsessively. I could tell he was in pain. I didn't want to wait for a vet appointment. It was already past 11 p.m., and the nearest emergency clinic was an hour away. So I did what I always do when something's wrong: I tried to figure it out myself. I sat down on the carpet with Milo, gently examining his leg. I massaged the joint, felt around for swelling. I talked to him in that soft voice he likes, the one that always calms him down. He lay his head on my lap, trusting, breathing slow. It was a quiet moment. Peaceful. Intimate, in that innocent, wordless way only animals can understand. Then I heard the door. I turned my head just as my mom stepped into the room, her eyes immediately locking onto us, me, kneeling on the floor, my hands around Milo's hind leg, and him sprawled out, groaning softly. Her mouth opened like she was about to say something, but nothing came out. Her eyes were wide, scanning, interpreting, misreading everything. We stared at each other in silence for maybe 2 seconds. Then she turned around and walked away. No explanation. No questions. Just gone. And that's when the knot in my chest started tightening. Because the way she looked at me, it wasn't just confusion. It was judgment. Accusation. Disgust. Like I had crossed some invisible line without even realizing it. I tried to follow her, to explain. But her bedroom door was locked. I knocked, twice. Nothing. She wouldn't come out. I went back to the living room, Milo now asleep beside the couch, completely unaware of the storm brewing upstairs. That was 3 nights ago. She hasn't spoken to me since. Not a word. Not even a glance. And every time I close my eyes, I see her face in that moment again and again, frozen in time, unreadable, but heavy with something I can't shake. I keep asking myself, what did she think she saw? And more importantly, what is she planning to do about it? 3 days of silence in a house that small feels like a prison sentence. Every creak in the hallway, every plate clinked in the kitchen echoes louder when there's no conversation to muffle it. My mom still moves through the house like she always did, makes her coffee at 6:30 a.m. sharp, keys jingle as she grabs them off the hook, front door clicks shut without a word. But now there's a weight in every moment, an elephant in every room. I keep running through that night in my head. The way Milo whined, the way my hands were positioned, how relaxed he was. It was innocent. It was. But that doesn't matter now. Not with the way she looked at me. That one look shattered something I didn't even realize was fragile. It's not just about Milo. Not really. There's history between us. Stuff we never talked about. After my dad left, things shifted in a way I couldn't understand at the time. I was only 15, still just a kid. But even back then, I could feel it, how she started relying on me for things she never did before. Not just chores or bills, but for emotional weight she didn't want to carry alone. She never cried in front of me. Never talked about my dad. But I heard her sometimes, late at night, in her room, muffled sobs she thought I couldn't hear. And I think somewhere along the way, we got used to pretending we were okay. She worked nonstop, I kept my head down, and we tiptoed around our shared grief like it was fragile glass. Now it's all cracked. I tried texting her yesterday. Just one message, "Hey, can we talk about what happened? Please." I didn't mean for it to look weird. No reply. But I know she read it. She's been sleeping in the guest room. I caught a glimpse of her yesterday, sitting on the edge of the bed, still in her scrubs, just staring at nothing. She looked exhausted, haunted. And I felt this wave of guilt I couldn't place. Was she ashamed of me? Scared? Or worse, disappointed? Milo's been sensing the tension. He keeps nudging at my hand with his nose, following me around like he's trying to fix something. And maybe he is. Maybe he's the only one left in this house still trying. I thought about talking to my friend Kara. She's the only person I trust enough with something like this, but how do you even start that conversation? "Hey, my mom thinks I was doing something messed up with our dog." No. There's no way to say it out loud without it sounding wrong. I feel trapped in this in-between. I'm scared that if we talk, she'll confirm the worst, that she really does believe I'm some kind of freak. But if we don't talk, it's like we're both choosing to live in this silent hell forever. And I don't know which is worse. Last night, I stood outside her door for what felt like an hour. My hand hovered near the doorknob. I was going to knock, finally say something, anything. But then I heard her crying again. Soft this time. Like she was trying to hold it back. And I did the coward's thing. I walked away. Again. The silence finally broke, but not the way I hoped. This morning, I walked into the kitchen to find my mom already there, dressed, alert, sipping her coffee like it was any other day. Except she didn't look at me. Not once. She just said, "I made you an appointment. Dr. Silverman. Thursday, 2 p.m. Her tone was steady, like she was reading from a script. Dr. Silverman is a psychologist. I froze. My first instinct was anger. Did she really think I needed therapy over this? Or worse, was this her subtle way of saying she thought I was dangerous? I wanted to shout, ask her what exactly she thought she saw that night. But I didn't. Because part of me didn't want to hear her answer. I just nodded. Okay. And now I'm spiraling. I spent the afternoon in the park with Milo, hoping the fresh air would calm me down. But it only made me more anxious. I couldn't stop wondering, did she tell anyone? What if she thinks she has to tell someone? A false assumption could ruin everything, my job at the shelter, my standing at school, even Milo himself. They don't let dogs stay in homes where there's suspicion of abuse. The thought made me sick. Later, I got a text from Kara, "You okay? Your mom asked if I'd check in on you. She said you've been acting off." So she is talking to people. She's building a case in whispers. I replied with a lie, "Yeah, just tired. Everything's fine." But everything is not fine. I don't know what scares me more, that my mom doesn't believe me, or that she thinks she's protecting me by staying silent. Either way, something's coming. A confrontation. A confession. Maybe even a collapse. And I don't know if we'll survive it. Thursday came faster than I expected. I barely slept the night before. My mind kept racing through scenarios. What if Dr. Silverman already had an opinion? What if my mom twisted the story when she called to make the appointment? What if I was walking into a room where I was already labeled something I'm not? She drove me. We didn't speak the entire ride. The only sound was the blinker clicking at intersections and the occasional sniff from Milo, who I insisted on bringing. I didn't trust anyone else with him. I didn't trust her. When we arrived, she stayed in the car. I sat in the office for 10 minutes before Dr. Silverman came in. Late 40s, calm voice, eyes that scanned deeper than I was ready for. He didn't mention anything at first, just asked how I'd been sleeping, how school was going, how things were at home. I kept my answer short. Then he leaned forward and said, "Your mom's worried you're carrying something alone. Something you haven't told her." I laughed, this bitter, reflexive sound that didn't feel like mine. She thinks I'm carrying something. But it's her who's afraid to talk. He didn't push. But he didn't let me off the hook either. Then maybe you should. That night, I tried again. She was in the kitchen when I got home, washing dishes, pretending like we were still strangers. I walked in and stood behind her, words swelling in my throat. Finally, I said, "You think I hurt him? Don't you?" Her hands froze in the water. Then slowly, she turned to face me. Her eyes weren't angry. They were scared. And that's when I realized, this wasn't about the dog. Not entirely. This was about trust that had been broken long before that night. Something neither of us had dared name. She opened her mouth to speak, and then the doorbell rang. And everything snapped. The doorbell sliced through the moment like a blade. For a second, neither of us moved. My mom's hands were still half submerged in the soapy water, her eyes locked on mine, wide with something between fear and guilt. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but the bell rang again. More urgent this time. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and walked past me, quick, almost relieved to escape the conversation. I stayed frozen in place, listening to her footsteps fade down the hallway, the sound of the door unlatching, and then, voices. Not one. Two. A woman and a man. Milo stirred behind me, ears perked. Then I heard my name. Lucas? The voice wasn't one I recognized. I stepped into the hallway, just in time to see two strangers standing in our doorway, one a tall woman in a gray blazer, holding a clipboard, the other a man in a casual button-down, serious but calm. My mom stood between them, her arms crossed tightly, avoiding my eyes. "Mr. Lucas Riley?" the woman asked. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Who are you?" "We're with County Adult Protective Services," she said, flashing a badge. "We'd like to ask you a few questions. About your living situation, and your emotional well-being." My brain stuttered. "Wait, what? Protective Services? I'm not a kid." "No," the man said gently. "But someone raised concerns. That perhaps you're experiencing emotional distress, or even coercion. That you may be in a situation that's not safe or stable." I turned to my mom. Her face was pale, her arms hugging herself like armor. "You called them?" I asked. She didn't respond. "You called them on me?" "I didn't know what else to do," she whispered. Something inside me cracked open. This wasn't about Milo anymore. It wasn't even about trust. This was about control. About fear. About the deep, tangled web my mom had been spinning for years, one made of grief, silence, and unspoken assumptions. I laughed, short, bitter. "You think I'm unstable?" "I think you've been hurting," she said. "And I haven't known how to help you." The woman stepped forward. "Lucas, we're not here to accuse you of anything. But we do need to talk to you privately. Would you mind stepping outside with us?" "No." "You want to talk? We can talk right here." I was done hiding. I told them everything. About the night with Milo. About how I was checking his leg. About my mom walking in, jumping to conclusions, then shutting down and treating me like a criminal. I told them about the silence, the therapy appointment, and how she couldn't even ask me if something was wrong, she just assumed it and built a narrative around it. The woman nodded, taking notes. The man kept his eyes on me, calm and observant. When I finished, there was silence. Until my mom finally spoke. "You've been lying to me," she said softly. "What are you talking about?" I snapped. "I just told you the truth." "No. Not about the dog," she said. "About your dad." I blinked. "What?" She turned, walking to a drawer and pulling something out, an old, crumpled envelope. She held it out to me with trembling hands. "He wrote you. A few times. After he left. I never gave them to you." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I thought he'd poison you against me. I thought he'd try to take you away. So I hid them." My hands were shaking as I took the envelope. My name was written in my dad's handwriting, familiar, even after all these years. Inside were 3 folded letters. Dated over 2 years. The first one written just weeks after he left. I read the first few lines aloud. "Lucas, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. But I need you to know, I didn't leave because of you. I never stopped loving you. I left because I was drowning, and your mom, she wouldn't let me come up for air. I wanted to take you with me, but she made it impossible." I stopped reading. My hands felt numb. "You lied to me," I whispered. My mom was crying now, openly, silently. The woman from APS stepped forward, gently taking the letter from me. "We may need to document this, if that's all right." I nodded blankly. The man asked, "Lucas, do you feel safe here?" It was such a simple question. But my mind went blank. What did safe even mean anymore? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Kara. "Lucas. We need to talk. It's important. Something's wrong." And just like that, the floor dropped again. Next, the climax, everything comes crashing down. Let me know when you're ready for that part. It's been 3 weeks since everything exploded. After the confrontation and the visit from Adult Protective Services, my mom and I finally had the conversation we'd both been avoiding for years. We cried. We yelled. We listened. She admitted the truth about the letters, how fear and bitterness clouded her decisions after my dad left. I told her how abandoned I felt growing up, and how her silence had turned small things, like a moment with Milo, into something monstrous in her mind. She apologized. For real. Not with excuses, but with tears and accountability. And I forgave her. Not instantly. But genuinely. I've started therapy with Dr. Silverman, and it's helping more than I expected. Milo is still by my side, healthy, happy, and totally unaware of the chaos he walked us through. Funny how animals just know when you need comfort. As for my dad, I wrote him back. We're talking. Slowly. Cautiously. But it's a start. And that's more than I ever thought I'd have. Kara came over the night everything went down. She told me she had my back no matter what. That kind of friendship? It's rare. I'm lucky. So yeah. My mom caught me doing this with our dog, but this wasn't what she thought. This was caring. Was tenderness. Was healing. And maybe that's the point. When people don't talk, fear fills in the blanks. But when you do talk, when you trust, healing becomes possible.